What's up, everybody? This is Furious Francis over here from PlayerEssence.com, and I had an article linked to me by some of my users. They wanted me to discuss this article, and I actually put it up on PlayerEssence.com as well. So I'll let you guys check out the title here. It says, Apple could put the final nail in Nintendo's coffin, and you should really change that to, I think Apple will put the final nail in Nintendo's coffin, based off of nothing but my own imagination and just that, really. Because that's really all this is off of. It's sensationalist journalism at its finest, and this is on the Motley Fool, and that is a correct name for this article and this website. They are fools. So I'm going to go ahead and look over to PlayerEssence.com. So apparently Apple is going to put the final nail in Nintendo's coffin again. But before we get into this article and what I have to say about this, because there are so many holes in this argument, it's like Swiss cheese here. The reason why I say again, because I'm having a flashback or deja vu. Have we heard this before? Yeah, that's right. We have heard this before. Why Apple's iPhone 5 will officially kill off Nintendo 3DS. This was written on September 19th, 2011. So now we're moving on. It's the iPhone 7 now, or iOS 7, but the iPhone 5 was supposed to kill off the Nintendo 3DS. And it doesn't just stop there. It goes even further. That's not the only site that did that. There was more. iPhone 5 will officially kill off the Nintendo 3DS. So, multiple sites, especially this site /here. This is probably the most sensationalist journalism ever. Don Reziner, or whatever his name is. This guy, he jumps at the opportunity to completely troll Nintendo at any opportunity he gets. He said that Nintendo should also release a new console, like, I think he said this year or next year, one of those two, which is completely stupid. So let's just go ahead and let's get back to why this article is completely garbage, in my opinion. So the author starts out by stating, the last 6 years have been terrible for Nintendo shareholders. After peaking in 2007 with the market cap nearly $85 billion, Nintendo has steadily collapsed and has now lost over 76% of its value over the last 5 years. Unfortunately, this could be the beginning of the end for the once iconic video game company. Apple's coming entrance into the video game market, a fairly likely possibility, could signal the end of Nintendo. Nintendo's latest console, the Wii U, is underpowered compared to the upcoming PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. At the same time, Nintendo's online services, an increasingly important part of the modern video game experiences, have been widely criticized. So I want to get into the first thing he said. With Nintendo losing market cap, which is true, Nintendo is not as profitable as they used to be, or they're not worth as much as they used to be, which has already been known for a very long time. And that's the only thing that this guy actually proves. Now, from here on out, it's complete speculation and sensationalist journalism from him, because he kind of splits things. He says that then Apple is entering the video game market on their, basically the iOS 7 or something like that is coming into it, but then he also says the PS4 and Xbox One are basically here and going to kill off Nintendo. So he's saying it's like a three-pronged attack. And he also says that one of his backup, or basically his proof for that, is saying that it's been widely criticized, the online portion of Nintendo's the Wii U. But he doesn't give any examples of why or who said this. And this is because he can't find as many people who have said it over people who have actually praised Nintendo's online services. That's what happens when you usually can't prove your point. You just don't put anything at all. So I want to go ahead and actually look at people who have said, oh, well, okay, Nintendo's online is actually good. There has been multiple people, and I actually provide proof that for my point, unlike this writer here. I have 3 articles here from at least 6 to 7 developers that have said that Nintendo's eShop is great and their online offerings are much better, and heap praise on it. The only people that I can find that basically don't like Nintendo's online efforts are EA and Bethesda, who have criticized Nintendo's efforts online, but at the same time, EA never used all of Nintendo's stuff. They didn't use Miiverse very well, and Bethesda hasn't developed on the Wii U at all. So I really don't know how Nintendo's online efforts have been widely criticized. There's been a couple people who have criticized Nintendo's online efforts, and many developers who have said that it's good. So that's the first, problem with this guy's article, which the first hole that he has. Next, he goes into, while Sony pushes into streaming games and Microsoft bets on the power of the cloud, Nintendo's latest console looks almost like a relic of a foregone era. Is it any wonder that the sales of the Wii U have been so poor? From April to June, Nintendo sold only 160,000 Wii U's. That's 210 less than the original 7-year-old Wii sold. So basically, he highlights the unique features of the PS4 and Xbox One, both of which, aren't out yet. He uses future technology to say, well, look, this is the reason why Nintendo's doomed. This is the reason why people see that the technology isn't up there. But I will also add this. Does the 3DS have cloud computing for every game? They just have it with Pokemon that they just announced. Does the 3DS have online streaming tech? No, the 3DS doesn't have either one of those, yet it's selling really well. And why is the 3DS selling really well? Well, maybe because it has more games than the Wii U. Games are always the reason why any console sells. So the fact that he's using future technology that's not even going to be at the launch of Sony's system, it's very, very weird and almost like a moot point. There's no point in bringing that up. And not only that, but he uses Microsoft and Sony's future technologies, but doesn't talk about Nintendo's. So he doesn't talk about Nintendo's Miiverse, which is evolving literally by the day. He doesn't talk about that, which Microsoft and Sony don't have. Social networks dedicated to each game released. He also doesn't talk about Nintendo's price cut. He doesn't talk about the bundle that they're having and the stuff that they're doing to increase their sales in the future. Like I said, he talks about Microsoft and Sony's future technologies, but he doesn't talk about what Nintendo's doing with the price cut at all in this article. Now, I want to get into the next part too. He also doesn't mention that the Xbox One has had horrible PR, that the pre-order sales are definitely lagging behind, and not that they mean anything, but they are as far as the PS4 goes, and the fact that the Xbox One costs $500 and you have to pay for online play. So it's $500. I mean, that's really expensive. In the history of video games, no console that's ever launched at $500 has ever won a console war. So that's just some food for thought. Next, we're going to move on to this part, which is actually this is probably one of the funniest parts. He says, Apple is moving into video games. Nevertheless, Nintendo's future looks to be dire. While many might be inclined to see Sony and Microsoft as dooming Nintendo, Apple stands as a far more menacing threat. Enter iOS 7. The next update to Apple's mobile operating system, set to be released this fall, includes support for third-party controllers. An iOS device combined with a controller would make a formidable handheld gaming console. But Apple's efforts could even extend to the living room. Apple executives, including Steve Jobs and current CEO Tim Cook, have hinted quite strongly that Apple is planning to release a television set. Piper Jaffray analyst Gene Munster believes consumers will be able to buy Apple TV sometime in 2014. So the theory that there might be an Apple device in 2014, which isn't recent, so are they going to kill them in 2014 or are they going to kill them now? I mean, he's splitting up his arguments, which is really funny. And he uses the fact that there's third-party controllers for the iPhone. Look, the iPhone having third-party controllers is not going to kill a handheld gaming console like the 3DS that's doing very well, or kill Nintendo. It's just not. There's been third-party controllers available for the Android forever. People don't want to carry around a controller with them. People don't want. If you're at home, why are you going to play on an iPhone screen with a controller? Are you serious? You're going to get a TV, you're going to get a big TV, and you're going to play it on there. You're not going to play it on an iPhone screen with a controller. That's probably the most retarded statement by this person, to actually think that people, especially casuals, are going to be like, oh yeah, let me go get my third-party controller and play this at home. And if they release a television's top set, like, what IPs do they have? Apple's done this before, and they failed. There's nothing saying that this is going to be successful for them. It's just ridiculous. Now, like I said, we've heard this before. This is not the first time. And I'm basically going to end on this note here. The Motley Fool recommends Apple. The Motley Fool owns shares of Apple and Microsoft. wait a minute. The Motley Fool owns shares of Apple and Microsoft. From this point right here, that shows personal interest, which leads to bias, which can lead to a bias, which loses all credibility. If you have investments in Microsoft and Apple and you're writing a negative article about Nintendo that uses no facts, that basically has his own ideas and uses very little facts to prove his point and discredits anything what you're talking about is doing to remedy the situation, you have proven to be biased, and this article is a complete joke. It's a complete joke, and it's obvious that they want Apple to succeed and they want to damage the reputation of Nintendo. But before I even finish off, this is the last thing that I'll talk about, which he doesn't bring up, and of course he doesn't bring up because he'd be stupid, because it would disprove his whole point about Nintendo being doomed. Buried in the realms of financial data is the revelation that Nintendo has 812 billion yen, which is 10.5 billion in the bank. Enough for it to take a 20 billion yen loss, which is $257 million every year until 2052. Then there's almost 469 billion yen, which is 6 billion in held in premises, equipment, and investments. When that runs out, we're in the year 2075. By this point, they've got some of the most valuable intellectual property in the gaming to sell off before the company goes out of business. So that right there disproves anything this guy says. Don't listen to this joke, because obviously he is one. And every single year Apple has a new iPhone, it's somehow linked to dooming Nintendo. But I'll say this now and I'll say it again. It's not going to happen. I said this back in 2011 when everybody was dooming the 3DS. It's not going to happen. The Wii U will be fine. Mark my words. Just like the 3DS was fine. Just like the PS3 was fine when everybody was dooming that, because I was saying the PS3 is going to be fine. People like to make money off of sensationalist journalism. Trust me, they make plenty of money off the hits. That's the reason why they're writing this crap. And they have a personal interest in Apple and in Microsoft. So of course they're not going to point out the negatives, like Microsoft's high price, and the positives, like Nintendo's low price and IPs that they have in the industry here. So that's basically wraps it up here. I definitely want you guys to check out the article. There's more that I didn't get into, but I just thought it was really funny. Also, make sure you go to the comment section and comment there. Riccardo Giuliani has a fantastic comment on this article, so I want you to read that as well. Make sure you check out the description. You'll find the links to all the articles I talked about in this story. You'll also find our Facebook like page. When you like us on Facebook, you get all of our exclusive content sent straight to your PC, phone, or tablet. All right, once again, I am Furious Francis, and we will see you guys on PlayerSS.com. Peace.